Good morning. Coffee time. Okay, guys, got some news. So I'm actually moving moving apartments. Well, not moving apartments. I'm actually moving cities. Living Toronto, and I'm also getting married. I know, guys. My wedding's literally next week. It came by so fast. It was one of those things where I was like, wait, what? Anyways, I'm very excited. A lot of things going on. As you can imagine, with moving and packing and then planning a wedding and all that stuff. So it's been quite the past few months. But today I'm getting a lot of like my basis checkup done. Like I'm seeing my optometrist, I'm doing my dental stuff, getting my prescription glasses, going for a massage, the list goes on. Actually, I would say for this week, it's quite packed. I find that one of the big things is when you're moving to a new city, just making sure that you do all your bases, like get all your checkup done, whatever it is that you do regularly, just make sure you have that done. Because when you move to a new city, finding all those services and a doctor and, that stuff takes a while. So once you've kind of done it before you left, you've got your bases covered, and it buys you time before you find someone in your new city. So that's definitely huge. But because of how like occupied I've been the past few months, I've kind of left it to the last minute. Not ideal, but we will be getting them done. The massage will be very good for me though, because like, oh, I can just feel all the tension here in my shoulders. Well, I keep saying massage. I'm actually getting acupuncture and cupping done. I've been seeing this lady for 3 years now. She is incredible. I'll leave her details below. She's really, really good. For massage, I go to Old Mill Spa. I see this guy called Alex there, and Old Mill Spa is one of my favorite places to get massage in the city, and I've tried a couple of different places, but they're just so good. So that's where I typically would go if I was getting a massage done. But because I'm doing acupuncture and cupping, I'm going to this lady who is again excellent. So that would be very good to just help me relax and get some oxygen into my body, which will be amazing. But I'll go finish up my skincare. I'm actually gonna go in with this Lineage Cream Skin. It's a toner and a moisturizer because I just washed my face. I find that this allows all my other products to just go in way more. And as it's getting cooler, it's really acted as that extra layer of moisture, which is amazing. And then I'll kind of go in with my Bioma Ceramide serum and all the other stuff, and get my day started and finish up my coffee as well. We had a big day. When I talk about the day, I always say it went better than we could have hoped for. It was just so intimate, so wholesome, and we just felt just so much joy and peace and love, and it was just everything we could have asked for. And the one thing for me that I thought about and I was like, wow, this makes such a huge difference, was just this me being intentional about how I wanted to feel on that day. And let me explain. So with all good intentions, like, friends and family and everyone was like, oh, you need to make sure you get like a makeup person, someone to do your hair and all that stuff. And that's typically what you do when you're getting married and all this stuff. And while that is true, and I think it comes down to, if you don't do your makeup like professionally and get your makeup professionally done, it doesn't translate very well in pictures. So it's like you need to almost do more makeup for it to show in pictures. And while that is true,
I had to be real with myself and say, what's more important to me? And I realized like I cared more about how I felt on the day than what I looked like in pictures. And for me, that means like doing my makeup myself. And I've gotten my makeup professionally done all the time. I like it more minimal, and it's without fail every single time I've been like, make it super minimal and all that, and they can put the lightest drop of makeup. I still never really feel like myself. And I was just like, do I really want to take a chance on this day, one of the most important days of my life, to take this risk? Something I've done so many times, I've never liked it. Why would today be different if I go that route? What was also important to me was my space. Like, anyone that knows me knows I'm a routine person. I like my morning to be a specific way, and having someone in my space in that morning to maybe come in to do my hair and makeup was just going to disrupt that for me. And I knew that. I wanted to be able to wake up in the morning, be by myself. I wanted to be able to journal about this change that is happening in my life, a monumental change at that. Wanted to be able to think about the season I'm leaving and the one I'm entering. Just talk to the Lord, have quiet time, devotion, have a cup of coffee, just really ease into the day. And that was more of a priority for me than, having people in my space and all around me. And so for me, that was priority. And I'm so glad I went with my gut feeling of this is what I wanted. Even if everyone was like, you're going to regret it, you want to make sure you get professional, everything. And I was just like, no, I actually value my quiet time and doing this stuff by myself and feeling like myself. And this is not to say if you do get stuff professionally done, you're not going to feel like yourself. It's more about being true to yourself. Some people might say, getting someone to come do my nails and all that stuff that morning might actually make me feel pampered. Like, it will make me feel so taken care of. And if that's how you feel, 110% go for it. But what I'm saying is, don't do stuff just because that's how it's always done or that's what you should do. Do it based on like, how am I going to feel and how do I want to feel? Because at the end of the day, it's your wedding. It's, you're the one getting married. So do what makes you happy and be intentional about that. And I like to give this example because for me, without fail, the hairstyles I know that I really do not like. Every time I do them, like, they do not look good on me. And everybody's always like, girl, this looks incredible. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. You should try it again. And you know yourself, and you know that you will not like this hairstyle after you're done. But you kind of succumb to the pressure and be like, oh, everybody always says it look good on me. And then you end up doing it and you're like, I knew it. I don't like this hair. It's a silly example, but it's things like that. Just like being true and being like, okay, I know I'm not going to like this thing at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter if 110 people are telling me this looks good. I know what makes me feel my best. And this is not it. So I'm going to stick to it. And sometimes it's very hard because obviously this advice is well-meaning, but how you feel on that day, I think, is super important. Just had two thoughts actually that I wanted to share. And one, because a friend had asked me a question around how I felt moving from Toronto. I'm now living in Montreal with my husband, and she had asked how I felt about the move. And I think thinking through that, two thoughts came to mind for me. And the first is, I kind of felt like contentment. And I feel like that came from me just making the best use of my time, not just in Toronto, but in my environment, and particularly in my space, where I lived in Toronto. And I actually used to live downtown for the longest time. And because I love convenience, and downtown gave me all the convenience. I love being able to walk to the library, just walk to pick up coffee, when you're meeting a friend, you're just a subway away. So it just felt super convenient, which I loved. But increasingly, like, I love going on walks. I love nature. It's something I find super cathartic and whatnot. And that became increasingly impossible living downtown, to just find areas where I could go for my peace and quiet headspace situation. And so I then moved to Midtown. And it just felt like that perfect amalgamation for me of everything I liked. I was able to find just a perfect spot. And it felt super commercial enough where there was still that level of convenience, because I had like grocery stores, the subway was close by, clinics, massage places, like all the things were around it. But also you still had like weird nooks where you could just go and you find a hiking trail and you would be like in this beautiful, you know, forestry area. And so it just felt like really nice to have both worlds, where I didn't have to drive for 20 minutes just to pick up grocery, but at the same time I didn't have to drive an hour to be in nature, you know. So it's just perfect. And for me, it was like I really explored my area. Like every Saturday I'm going on a hike, I'm checking out something. If there was anything in the neighborhood that kind of intrigued me, I would go check it out. So I never procrastinated living my life in a way like, oh, one day. It's like, no, if I had the time, I would check out stuff I wanted to do. And I wasn't someone that kind of waited for other people before I would do stuff. Like if I wanted to see a movie, I would go to the movie myself, buy a popcorn and watch it. So I never like attach my living to, or when this thing happens or when this person is available. And also like my space where I live in Midtown, like, you know, I was able to really make it feel like home. I had pieces I loved and just made it so homely. Like whenever I would walk into my apartment, it felt like my home. It didn't feel like just a place I was inhabiting. It just felt like, no, this is my actual home. And so it didn't feel transient. And so because I was able to really like cultivate that, I would say, mindset, perspective, whatever you want to call it. When I was living in Toronto, when I was living in my space and that neighborhood that I absolutely loved, it felt like, I got really good use out of my time here. It didn't feel like this FOMO of, oh, there's this one thing I still want to check out. It felt like I got good use of it. So that kind of gave me this level of contentment, if that makes sense. And the second aspect was just this level of peace. Because before I actually moved to Montreal, before I even met my now husband, I had this thing in my spirit, in my heart, like for a while, and I was telling friends about it, like, I feel this, I want to move to Montreal, I want to move to Montreal type thing, not knowing that my, you know, now husband will be from Montreal and all that stuff. I won't go into all the details, but really it just felt like this level of peace, like, okay, this feels right from a spiritual standpoint, faith-wise. So yeah, I think those two elements kind of made me feel so excited, if anything, about moving.